Right, we are live. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the Kiwi Lads channel. We are back for another match of the Hong Kong Sevens, the last of the day, and it will be the Blitzboks in action up against the Australians. Now, two very different games for these two sides in terms of their opening contest. For the Australians, they were defeated by New Zealand 21 points to 12, whereas for South Africa, it was pretty much the exact opposite end of the scale, and they were able to get themselves a big win over Uruguay, 40 points to 7. Now, New Zealand, they are about to beat Uruguay about 29-0. So it just shows you how well South Africa went in that very first contest. They'll be wanting to do exactly what the Kiwis did in that match up against Australia, confirm themselves their second win, and then more than likely, unless something really drastic changes, we will get to see the top of the table clash between New Zealand and South Africa for tomorrow. But starting lineups will soon to be announced. I believe that game between New Zealand and Uruguay has just now come to a close, so the Kiwis getting themselves their second victory. The Blitzboks looking to do the same here, and with a sensational lineup, they should be able to do just that. But of course, Australia are a little bit of an underdog every once in a while, and they can play a brilliant game of Rugby Sevens. Anyone can upset anyone on this circuit. Currently, Kiwis, they are sitting in first with the plus 38 points differential, so all South Africa need to do to move into first place is win this game by 6 or more. And honestly, if they win it by any less than 6, or if they don't win it by 10 plus, I think they'll be pretty disappointed with the stackness of their side. Hello, Hamish, says Sean Gunter. Welcome in, mate. Hope you're doing extremely well. Afternoon, Kiwi Lads. Another tough Sevens match. And also, hi, all and hi, Hamish, says Robert there. Welcome in. And who will win, says William. Well, I am back in the Blitzboks, but I've been wrong many times in the Sevens circuit. South Africa ranked 4th heading into this league in Hong Kong. Australia ranked 6th. So actually relatively even in that department. But the starting lineups for the Blitzboks will be Ryan Oosterhuizen, Impi Vesa, Saviwe Soyas-Wapi, Selvin Davids, Devold Human, Shilton van Wyk, and then Kua Nokia as a last man in the starting side. For the Australians, it has already popped away, but I saw Henry Hutchison, I saw Patterson in there. I'm sure that they will have plenty more talented players in that starting lineup as well. Hamish, he's saying blocks by 12 points at least. I mean, I'm thinking 10. Somewhere around there, perhaps. Seeing how many misconversions we have had already in this competition, so perhaps it could be the case in this one too. And we have got there any other games already played today, says Sean. In terms of the Blitzboks, they were able to beat Uruguay 40 points to 7. And then the Australians were defeated by New Zealand 29 points to 12, I believe it was. Or it might have actually been a little bit closer than that. 21 points to 12, sorry. But both sides making their way out onto the field for the final game in Hong Kong for today. So this is the type of game that you want to go out there and make an impact. Keep everyone thinking about that massive victory that you got right at the end of the day and get that momentum flowing heading into that match tomorrow. For Australia, their next match will be up against the Uruguayans. For the South Africans, they will be playing the New Zealanders. Go Aussie win, so New Zealand can stay first, says Novmum. Although the thing is, we don't know who's going to be playing who in those quarterfinals. And sometimes the side that are ranked second actually get the easier game than the side ranked first. So I think at this point, I don't know whether or not you want that number one spot. A little bit of extra added pressure in those groups as well. Well, we are 6 seconds away from the kickoff of this contest. Anyone who is new, of course, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. We are now underway for this matchup. Australia kicking off from left to right. And that one hasn't gone the 10, although now it bounces there. That's going to be James Turner taking the man out in the air. And already it's going to be a yellow card for James Turner. He can't quite believe it. I believe the bounce of the ball slightly got him in the wrong position. But yeah, going for the guy in the air is never going to work too well for James Turner. He lands on his side. Luckily didn't land too badly, but it means that already we're going to see a man advantage for the South Africans, and we're only 30 seconds in to this contest. We did see a yellow card for Corey Toole, an ex-Australian Sevens player. He got one in 34 seconds. James Turner, he got one in about 14, if not maybe even quicker than that. This scrum's ugly. Both sides almost falling on their faces, but luckily The ball is popped out the back for South Africa. Now going off to the left-hand side. De Volthuman goes across to Shilton Van Wyk. One more to Kua Nokia. Without James Turner out there on the field, it means that Australia average speed has dropped just a little bit as that man is lightning quick. Here comes Ryan Oosterhuizen. Runs it straight at Henry Hutchinson. Just manages to get out of the breakdown in time. De Volthuman looking for the offload. Hits the referee with that ball. Southern Davids tackled 40 metres out. Bit of a frantic pace to start this contest off, and still another 50 seconds remaining until Turner can make his way back out onto the field. Nice steal in the breakdown from the Australians. Looking for the offload. It's going to be stripped. They will go back for the original knock on. It will be Australia's scrum feed. But like they've just said, very scrappy start. Both of these sides have been through some battles up against each other in the past. South Africans, like I said, they're sitting fourth at the moment, so they aren't a mile away from being able to really make a great burst towards that top two. So that's how close the competition is at the moment. We see Spain, they've been struggling a little bit, although getting themselves the win over France certainly did help them in the right direction. Last 4 matches between Australia and South Africa have been split by less than 5, I think that just said. Now going off to the left-hand side here for the Australians. Sheldon Davids looking for a turnover, wasn't quite able to get it. Once we have a stoppage, the Australians will be back to their full contingency of 7 on the field, but for now they are playing with 6. Henry Hutchinson, tackled by Impivisa. Henry Patterson, across now Sargent. Oh, a nice strip coming from De Volthuman. That's going to be a penalty going the way of the Australians, so I would assume that they will stop this one here. We've got Lilia B in the chat. It said, hi everyone, hope all are well. And is this the Blitzboks first game? Second game. So first match, they were able to get the win over Uruguay, 40 points to 7. So a pretty comfortable one in that department. I see you've changed your picture as well, Lilia B. But now, 3 minutes have already passed in this contest. They take the quick tap, the Australians. Although, is it a quick tap? If they end up having a stoppage to bring a man back on the field, nice attack and run from Michael Isley. Thought about offloading it back. Australia, they know that they can't afford to keep that ball in the breakdown for any longer than a second or two, or else that is when South Africa normally do get themselves the steal. Henry Patterson, protected by Henry Hutchinson in the breakdown. James Turner going back across to Michael Isley. Passes on the outside to the youngster, Kanayaki. We have got their Blitzboks. Let's go. Says Anthony, passed on the outside. Flicked on the inside from Hutchinson off to Matthew Gonzalez, and he will run in the first try of the contest for the Australians. They've had to be patient. They've had to be down a man at times too. Gonzalez now scores his first try of the Hong Kong Sevens and his 6th of the Sevens series. Or at least this year's Sevens series, I should say. A good inside ball from Henry Patterson. Normally has very good awareness of where his teammates are. Los Pumas are my top choice. Who's your favourite for the title now? Well, they said something interesting in the last match, which was Fiji, before anyone else arrived, decided that they just wanted to stand on the podium and see what it felt like. Now, they have won it more than anyone else on the Hong Kong side of things. So I think Fiji are definitely a contender, although they didn't look as good in their last game up against the Irish. So I do still think Los Pumas are definitely right up there, but that one's going to be kicked into touch on the full from the Australians. And also not going the 10. I can't put my picture up. The screen will break. Says Sean. And Aussie Kangaroos not weak. Watch out the Bok. Says Ruth there. Now tap taken on the halfway line from De Volthuman. Still 2 minutes remaining in this first half. That pass is forward out wide. Looks like they're going to say play on. No, now they go back for the forward pass. Which nation is the best when it comes to 7? That's a great question. And honestly, it changes so much. Argentina have been one of the top sides for the past about maybe 2 years, which I think surprises quite a few people. South Africa have had their fair share of titles. They actually had one of the longest winning streaks about 3 years ago. New Zealand, they are one of the most decorated sides alongside Fiji, who have had the most gold medals out of any side. So honestly, you could pick about 5 different sides and they would all have an argument that they are the best, or at least have been at times. Second game, says Gary Grant. And you only need to win this game by 6 or more to sit number 1 in the table. Now James Turner fending off Kua Nokia, but great defensive effort from Nokia to get him on the second go. Sargent goes across to Henry Hutchinson, run up to the halfway line. Kanayake passes it up now to Matt Gonzalez, who will be wrestled down by Saviwe Soyers-Wapi. South Africa close to giving away a penalty in the breakdown there, but Australia having more of the possession throughout this first half, getting driven towards the touchline for Jaden Blake. Now Sargent, Kanayaki goes short ball to Henry Hutchinson. 2-man tackle, Oosterhuizen tries to get straight in there, but can't get that steal. James Turner, this is dangerous. He's got 3-on-2 on the left-hand side. Matt Gonzalez runs it forward to Kanayaki. In fact, it's Patterson with pure pace up the middle. And he will score another try for the Australians. And that is now 2 tries within the first half. This is a massive start for the Aussies. And I do not think they would have been anticipating leading by this much going into the halftime break. But Henry Patterson, just fantastic acceleration from a player that size. Means that you got to get something in the way. Saviwe Soyers-Wapi only had half a touch. We've got their boom Aussie so strong, says Ruth. Are you doing Stormers later? I originally was going to be doing the Stormers game, but the plans have changed slightly for kind of the morning and early afternoon, and that is because it is one of the other Kiwi lads' birthdays. So I've ended up being, I guess, not so much needed, but being invited to celebrate that. So it means that the Stormers versus Ulster game we will be missing, but we will still have plenty more coming, including a couple other matches of the URC for the round, Super Rugby, the Hong Kong Sevens as well. Come on, the Blitzboks, says LFG. Already we're seeing 2 tries for the Australians, and only the 2 visits to the opposition 22. South Africa are yet to get inside of Aussie's 22, and we've seen 11 tackles made by the South Africans, missing 4, so just tackling at 73%. So second half, we're definitely going to have to expect a little bit more from this Blitzboks team, but if they can get it right, they can certainly make the comeback here. They are down by 14 points, but we've seen them do it before. One more try for the Australians could completely change things here for them, though. Okay, I don't speak Afrikaans, but the coach, I believe, was saying something about energy and pointing to the Blitzboks logo on one of the players' chests. So I would say that he said something along the lines of, you know, you're playing for your country, have plenty of energy out there, second half, see how you go. That's about the best translation I can give for something that I had absolutely no idea what was said. 14-0 at the moment for the Australians. 22 seconds remaining before we get into the second half. Quite a few Australian supporters by the looks of it. People dressed as Steve Irwin. Man dressed as, I want to say he was a wrestler, maybe. He was. Says Lilia B. And come on, the Blitzboks says LFG. There we go. We rhymed and we didn't even mean to. And Hamish, well done lip reading. Honestly, it wasn't even lip reading. It was just trying to roughly translate. Because at the start, I thought he was speaking English. And then I realized as he was going a little bit more in depth and started shouting more, it became Afrikaans, which I had no shot at. Oh my goodness, what's happening with the Boks? They had a slow start, I think is the best way of describing it. But that does not mean that they can't get back into this contest. Australia currently inside of their own 22. And James Turner going to be tackled there by Saviwe Soyers-Wapi, who almost managed to get straight onto the ball, but well done from Henry Hutchinson to protect it again. Good ball security at the moment from the Aussies, although that looked like it was a knock-on, or at least very close to it. James Turner going back across to the right-hand side. I was about to ask if the Blitzboks looked flat, but since their coach said more energy, I'm assuming they are flat. Honestly, they didn't look too bad in that first half. I think Australia's security of the ball, though, was incredibly impressive, because normally what happens is sides facing off with the Blitzboks leave just a little bit too much of a window of opportunity to go in and steal it. But the Australians have done just enough to protect a beautiful offload as well. Here comes another run for from Jaden Blake. Gets his offload up, but he gives it off to Ryan Oosterhuizen. But yeah, like, South Africa still looked pretty good on attack. They didn't do too much wrong, really, but just Australia scored the 2 tries. Looks like a bit of counter-rucking coming from the Australians there in the breakdown if South Africa lose. And then there's quarterfinals gone. That is incorrect. They still have a very good chance of making their way through. They would have to beat New Zealand, though, nicely claimed by Ben Dowling. And also, we should mention, because of their points differential, more than likely they'll go through anyway, because the third place teams in each group, or at least the top 2 third place teams, go through as well. So they might end up with a completely different opposition than we first anticipated, but they will still be in the quarterfinals unless something really, really drastic happens in their game up against New Zealand. Now going off to Maurice Longbottom. Oh, interception thrown. They'll go back for the original advantage and penalty to Australia. It's going to be offside against the South Africans. A frantic pace. I think one of the commentators is not too happy about that offside call. Still another 4 minutes and a half remaining in this second half of rugby. Plenty of time, plenty of opportunity for a comeback to start. But for Australia, if they can score one more try, you'd have to say that this is probably going to be their game. Patterson goes straight through towards the corner. Nokia doesn't catch him. And another try now for the Australians. They are on fire at the moment. That is the second of the match. Playing a little bit of baby shark for Henry Patterson, but just flying. And Nokia, someone who's normally as quick as anyone on the Sevens circuit, had to pull out of that chase as he wasn't making ground. That is now going to make the score 19 points to 0 with a kick to come for the Australians, and it does bounce off the post. I believe it's still snuck over. So that is going to make the score now 21-0 in favour of the Australians. This is extremely impressive from Aussie. They haven't really allowed South Africa even into this game remotely, which is the best way to beat them. It's the same as Fiji. If you starve the Fijians of possession, you really shouldn't be losing to them. No spark in the blitz. Once again, honestly, oh, beautifully done by the Australians. They've retained their own kickoff and they'll score again. But yeah, throughout that first half, I don't think the Blitzboks looked that bad. Yes, they missed a couple tackles, but, they just couldn't get that one little steal in the breakdown that would have changed momentum completely. But now the second half looks like maybe they're starting to lose a bit of hope, but beautifully taken by a Kanayaki who jumped up, got ahead of Ricardo James Duarte. Aussie on fire, says Novam. Yeah, this is honestly the best we've seen Australia look. I almost want to say this whole series. They are just doing everything right. And that is a dangerous Australian side when they are playing like that. Now it's going to be kicked off again. Ricardo James Duarte not able to take that one cleanly, but there is going to be the penalty going the way of South Africa. They wanted the advantage as they were just about to go through. Australia just too strong, says Lilia B. Yeah, it's been very impressive, is the best way of describing it. And now it brings a little bit more intenseness and a bit more importance to the match tomorrow between South Africa and New Zealand. We will be covering that one on the channel as well, ladies and gents. Box like snails, says Ronnie there. Selvin Davids now with the possession. Goes off to his side. They are currently sitting around the halfway line. Points difference now not good enough for South Africa. New Zealand not easy to beat. That's going to be close to forward again from South Africa. Looked like he stayed down a little bit of time. Yeah, no, he doesn't look too good, Jaden Blake, but Selvin Davids certainly does as he runs towards the try line for the first try of the match for the Blitzboks. Are there any players in the series that a Union watcher might know, says Jameson? Out of these two sides, probably not really. If you're watching from Super Rugby, you'll see quite a few ex-Sevens guys, whether that's Corey Toole or Caleb Tangitau, Fihi Finina Norfo, Leroy Carter. Those guys have all been on the Sevens circuit. Some great Union players have played Sevens in the past, Sanatla in particular for the South Africans. They have been able to get that try and convert. They've got 90 seconds remaining to try and cut down that points differential Get them back in the right direction. Currently, it does sit with a differential of 19, which doesn't help the Blitzboks that much. Going to be slapped back now. Nicely picked up by Henry Hutchinson. Right in his face is Donovan Don. And that is going to be another penalty going the way of the Australians. Of course, Donovan Don getting a brilliant try in the last leg of the Sevens. Did end up being a match winner. Now Maurice Longbottom. Ready to kick this one into touch. They are just talking about the fact that Australia have gone from losing to New Zealand and what turned into a slightly close game, 9 points difference, to now coming out there up against South Africa only about 3 or 4 hours later and looking like a whole different side. Just shows the versatility of some of these players, that just because you've had an off game 1 week or 1 day or even 1 hour doesn't mean that it's going to be the same for the next contest that you're in. Maurice Longbottom now ready to throw this one in for the Australians, using up as many seconds as he can, and that's going to be nicely claimed by the Aussies. Sits up Dowling, passes it off to Maurice Longbottom. James Turner goes out wider. Chance here out on the wing for Tonga. Couple new players in there, and that is going to be the penalty going the way of the Blitzboks. They will take the quick tap. Australia just lucky. Sears LFG. I don't know if I'd call them... I mean, that's another drop ball from Zane Davids. I wouldn't call them lucky in this game. I think they've just outplayed South Africa. And if this game was to happen again, who knows? Maybe South Africa get the win. I thought that they'd be able to do quite well in this contest, but Australia just played the much better game of rugby sevens. They handled the ball well. They kept it on their side for a majority of the game in terms of possession. They tired out the Blitzboks, and they were clinical when it mattered. So, if we see this Australian side play like this tomorrow, it's going to be hard to beat. Quarterfinals included, but we don't know whether they're even through to the quarterfinals at this point. They would need the win over Uruguay just to really secure it. But nonetheless, I do thank you all very much for tuning in. The end score in this contest, 26 points to 7, the win for the Australians. We know how strong the South Africans can be. They will bounce back. They'll be back tomorrow. Their first game up against New Zealand. That's going to be taking place at, I believe it is 7:43 a.m. South African time. Now, we are going to be doing the commentary on the channel too, but the first of the day will be Fiji versus Argentina. So a couple big matches still to come that will determine the quarterfinals. But I do thank you all very much for tuning in. If you did enjoy, be sure to leave a like and subscribe like I said, and I will see you all for the next one.